Mic check, mic check. Checking the mic. Is mic here? Yes, no? Mic check, mic check. Test. Everything seems okay. So, let's see. Everything is here. Good. Welcome to what is going to be a series about learning Japanese with me. I have lived in Japan for quite a while, about 5 years, and I've decided that it's about time for me to get back to reading and speaking proper Japanese. For about 7 years now, I have not been engaged with the language that much, and I feel that's a big loss for me personally. So starting 2020, this will change. Now, ideally, I was going to visit the country for the Tokyo Olympics as well, but hey, that's not gonna happen due to various reasons. So I want to talk briefly in this first episode. First, it's going to be a lot shorter than what I have in mind for this series, and I just wanted to speak plainly about what my thoughts are on how to do this series, and obviously, what we'll be using, what the learning pace will be, and just some challenges we might face based on my experience. So, what I have in mind is using one textbook which a couple of friends who have lived with me in Japan recommended, as well as a few phone applications and an online dictionary whenever that's necessary. The main idea for me is to have kind of two separate type of sessions during the week. One will be focused on going over the textbook, and the other session will be about playing games in Japanese. So basically, I will not be needing much assistance when we go over the textbook, because it has English supplements, and overall it's rather basic Japanese, at least for this first textbook that I'll be using. On the other hand, when we're doing the gaming segments, I have picked up a game already, and I did some upfront research, and I had a very funny experience. There was a part where I said like I could read a block of text, however, I would get only about 30 to 40% of the what's written in there, and I could figure out the rest of the meaning, and that's fine. However, that's not the purpose of this actually. My reading in Japanese has always been pretty poor because it requires constant kanji obsession, let's call it like that, especially if you're not a foreigner from Asia. So kanji will be pretty alien for you. They're actually probably the most difficult part of the Japanese language, at least for me personally, and I've struggled with them quite a lot. So during this type of gaming segments, while we might call it gaming, in reality it might actually be 30 minutes of me translating a sentence full of kanji. And I know this might seem absurd, but I had the following experience. I found out this basic menu which I just told you about, and the first sentence took me maybe 15 to 30 minutes to actually translate properly and to be able to read. That was because there were about 10 kanji inside which I saw for the first time or I had forgotten. And a very important thing is that when you're learning kanji, the stroke order is very important. So this is the order in which the kanji or the symbol is written, and if you don't keep the correct order, then the dictionary will not be able to help you. Now, going into the dictionaries, I had one on my Nintendo DS, which was the best one I have ever used. However, I'm not able to currently use that. So I found out, I looked first, I researched a couple of applications, and all of them seemed not what exactly I was hoping for. There are two types of applications. One of it has like an already built-in dictionary, and you can type down radicals. Radicals are part of the kanji, like part of the symbol, right? So when you start entering different radicals, it's going to narrow down the kanjis eventually to 4, 5, 10 choices, and you'll pick up the one which you need. And the other type of kanji dictionary is actually one which requires you to write down the kanji. So for example, you're basically drawing the kanji there, and if you don't know the correct order, then obviously it's not going to recognize this kanji. And you know, when you have let's say a 5-stroke kanji, that's fine, but when you have a 10-15 stroke kanji, then just missing a single one is going to show you a completely different result. So again, going back, this is why it took me close to 20 plus minutes to actually translate a single sentence of 10 kanji, which I did not know. And yeah, that was a solid experience. Thankfully, just after translating this kanji, this sentence, I was able to actually translate the rest of the block of text for 30 seconds. However, that's because all of these 10 kanjis were in the rest of the text as well. So this is sort of my experience and what I will be going with. Hopefully it will make for a very interesting and challenging situation, because many people might think that, for example, when you speak Japanese, it's very easy to read Japanese. That's most definitely not the case. Yeah, especially for Western foreigners from Europe and the States. So this will be the two type of segments and the two type of streams that we'll have during the week. we'll be using this lovely textbook called Genki Nihongo. Then we'll be using an online dictionary called Jisho. We'll have a kanji lookup phone application and a Jisho phone application. I'm using both applications because sometimes I'm able to pick up only a single kanji, or it will not be in one application but it will be on the other, so it takes a bit of time. Now, in terms of games, I picked up Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. This is a relatively new fighting game that came out last February. What's very interesting about it is that they sort of fucked up the release, and they released it first in Japan in the starting of February. Oh, hold on. Is the stream working actually? I hope it is. So they just released it last week in the States. There will be a PC release in this week on Steam, and there will be a European release at the end of March. And this was like the worst decision you can do in 2020 about a game release. So I decided to challenge myself and pick up the game in Japanese with a Japanese account on the PlayStation, and this resulted in a game that I cannot put in English in any way, and that was like kind of a desired effect. So going forward in that game will be done only and only in Japanese. Now, about the learning pace, we'll have, because I already have, let's say, a good build-up of knowledge. However, I'm still forgetting, not missing. I guess I forgot some tiny details, either in certain grammar situations or even in katakana. I might be missing like 1, 2, 3. It's not exactly letters, but yeah. So because of that, I decided to actually start from the very start. However, we will continue at the pace that's comfortable for me, and this will not be exactly a 101 pace, right? I'll go quickly over the syllabus and give my brief thoughts on each of the topics in the textbook. So on parts which I'm actually can't recall, we'll spend a bit more time on, and I'm expecting to spend about 20 minutes at the end of each session answering questions about the sessions. As I said, translation during the game segments can take up a bit of time. Additional notes, the plan is to stream anywhere between 2 to 4 days per week, whatever my schedule allows me to. The stream will take anywhere between 1 to 2 hours. We'll start with the 50-50 split. That means that for as many days in the week I'll spend on the textbook, then I'll spend that many days playing the game. And the schedule will definitely be further defined once I have like a more appropriate idea of what I'm doing, how long it's taking, and similar situations. Now, one of the main challenges that we'll be having is first doing this daily. Currently, due to my occupation, I cannot commit on doing this to a daily basis, and one of the problems is that, especially with this type of language, if you don't do it daily, then you'll be forgetting a lot and relatively fast. So another challenge is actually not living in Japan, and this is related to the first one. When you live in a country, it's very more natural to learn the language just by listening, watching the letters, and everything all together. For example, mm, I really picked up on katakana when in my first year I started noticing the difference, of course, between hiragana and katakana, and just like focused on, okay, read that, read that, read that, read that. As I was going with the bus to my university, I was constantly trying to read everything I could in katakana, and that's how actually the letters stuck in my head. So obviously we cannot do that, and also based on my experience, I know that spending 1 to 2 hours a day was quite insufficient, because to be honest, until my second year I was mostly learning Japanese in school, right? So I was still not being comfortable speaking or trying to speak. And this is a funny story which I might um, share sometime, as for my experience with Japanese and how they actually um, accept foreigners, and the foreigners that speak and don't speak Japanese. But anyway, I just wanted to say that the 2 hours that I spent in university during those first 2 years were definitely not enough. And only after I actually started speaking and being in an only Japanese environment for 6 to 8 hours a day, that's when my Japanese picked up, to be honest. And yeah, I can definitely speak more about that. I started at the end of my second year there, I started working part-time in a Korean restaurant, like a restaurant for Korean barbecue. In Japanese it's called yakinikuya. And yeah, I could speak so little when I actually entered this environment, despite my 2 years learning Japanese pretty much every day at school. So something that really stuck with me back then was just this sort of, you jump into the place and just start speaking and picking, and that's it, and believe in yourself and keep on going. It was amazing experience, although it was very difficult for me, and that's really the best way to learn Japanese. Unfortunately, we cannot do that. Yeah, I think that's quite obvious. However, hopefully this idea and the tempo we can keep between the textbook and the games will give me a good solid refresher, let's call it refresher, yeah, on how to deal with this. So now let's perhaps quickly go over the textbook. Mokuji, if I'm not mistaken, this was either syllabus or Nayo. So Nayo is content. So excluding the preface, let's do something very fun. We'll have a very, is it possible to read? That's the only thing I'm a bit worried about. Let's see. Or I'll have to actually zoom in a bit. Okay, this will be a bit inconvenient. Hopefully it will work out in the end. So, Aisatsu, greetings. This is pretty basic stuff. Atarashi tomodachi. Okay. X, Y des. Question sentences, noun, non-noun. This is kind of like a, what's called in English, possession, like if something belongs to someone or something. Nihonjin no namae, that's culture note for Japanese name. Useful expressions. Jikan and Toshi, yeah, that's quite easy. Kaimono. Kore sore are dore kono sono kokosoko. This is basically this is this, that, and things like that. Dareno, noun, this is asking whose belonging is this. Noun plus mo, that's like also, me also, or apples also. Noun plus janai desu. Nihon no okana, Japanese currencies. Kyoshitsu, in the classroom. Oops, did I mess? No, wait, hold on. This should be like this, yeah. And I just forgot that you can see only the top part. Totally my bad. So we'll have verb conjugation, verb types in the present tense. In Japanese there's actually no future and present tense, they're both the same tense. We'll have, so it's very easy, for example, to say I will or I am doing something. Like present continuous in English, it's actually, they have a form for that, but yeah. Particles, time reference, masenka, tabemasenka, that's like is shall we eat, word order, frequency, adverbs, the topic particle wa. So this is something that's very frustrating in Japanese. They have a topic particle which can sometimes, they can use different particles to mark topics. Or actually I'll look more into this and come up with a better way to explain it. So first date, ignore that. Hajime to no deru. Okay. Garimasen, gaimasu, that's for example, this is sort of is something, or I have something. Tomodachi ga imasu, I have friends. Describing where things are, past tense of des. Okay, so past tense of verbs, mo. Ichijikan, this is duration. Takusan means a lot, to. So now you should be able to see up to here about. Let's try to push this slightly up for the last part. Okay. So we have trip to Okinawa. Okinawa ryoko. Adjectives. Skina, kiraina. Masho, mashoka. Actually, this one is for doing activities together, and when you want to ask someone to do something together. And masenka is more like would you like to, I guess. No, it's could you please something. Yeah, something like this in English. Counting, culture note, Japanese festivals. Kitsuri, Nihon no matsuri. Kitsuri is something else. So now going back. This will be so fucking mendokusai. So we'll have Roberto-san no ichinichi, a day in Robert's life. Te forum te kudasai, te mo ii desu. Tabete kudasai is like please eat. Tabete mo ii desu, yes you can eat it. Tabete ikimasen. Tabete wa ikimasen. You should not eat. Describing two activities, kara and moshoka. So oh my god. So basically going to back to tabemosho, it's like let's eat together, right? Tabemoshoka is like shall we eat together. Family picture, kazuko no shashin. Teiru is the present continuous in English. I would say we have Meari-san wa kami ga nagai desu. So Mary's hair is long, I don't know why. The forms of joining sentences. Okay, so this is something that I have used. I recall there were 3 separate reasons for actually using te to connect sentence. So this one is also interesting. Tabeni iku, I'm going to eat. So I'm going for the purpose of eating. Counting people. So counting in Japanese is very different. They actually have different counters depending on if you're referring to flat objects, round objects, people, just digits. They have different counters, and that shares some common logic, I guess, but not exactly. So you have to learn everything one by one. So barbecue, short forms, informal speech. Okay, so this is generally the way you would talk with your friends. Noski desu ga. Okay, so this is, I'm not sure if, yeah, I should be able to see it. This is, I'm actually interested what they mean by this, right? So there is one very particular situation in Japanese. We'll get more into details, but when to use ga in a sentence and when to use wa. And obviously I'm not speaking about cases where you can simply see that this is the conjugation in English, and when you have something, for example, it should always be ga arimasu. You know, that's obvious, but it's not going to be, for example, neko ga arimasu. Actually, wait, that's not proper. It's a living thing, so it should be imasu. Anyway, the point is that sometimes there is a very subtle difference how and when you should use ga in the sentence. And there is actually a difference in the meaning, obviously, when you're doing this. Let's see, going back, making a date. So verb conjugation, verb types and present tense. This is interesting, but how they have explained this. Particles, time reference, masenka, tapemasenka. Like, are you not going to eat this, or something? Yeah, why you're not eating this? It's a bit difficult to translate properly in English. Kono oniku tabemasen ka? It's like, are you not going to eat this meat, in a very polite way. Word order, so this will also be interesting. Frequency, adverbs, this should be easy. The topic particle, oh wait, what the, oh my god, I'm so silly, forgive me for this. Kabuki, past tense, short forms, this is easy. Qualifying nouns with verbs and adjectives. So this is the first like conditional sentence. Mada, actually wait, that's incorrect. Mada, it depends what they actually mean by this, but if they mean, for example, mada tabete imasen, that's like I'm still not eating. Woohoo! And did we lose our camera? Yes, we did. About 30 minutes of camera work. That's unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. I have a solution for this, but it will take me another day or two just to fix it. Let me... Error starting live view during insufficiency of battery. Well, good thing is that at least we had about 20-30 minutes of footage. So I'm going to actually shut down this. Just give me a second. Let's close this. And we can let the camera just relax a bit. So let me just pull this back. Yeah, I should actually check how the heating is going, because I learned that when you're using a DSLR for live cam, there are some heat issues. Anyway, you have to follow me by voice just for now. So we have lesson 9, Kabuki, past tense. We have Kara. This is actually for giving reason for something. Winter vacation plans, comparison between two items, comparison among 3 or more items, that's fine. Tsumorida is actually when you plan something. Kono niku taberu tsumorida. I'm planning to eat this meat. Why am I giving only meat examples? Adjective plus naru. Tabete naru. So it will become something. It will become blue. It will become red. Aoku naru. For example, it will become bluish. Doko ka ni doko ni mo. This is interesting. I have actually not had this. So doko ni mo is basically anywhere. Doko ka ni, I cannot. So for example, doko ni mo is like I can eat anywhere. For example, in this type of sentence, it would be anywhere. Doku kani, I guess, is where should we eat something in this sense. For we also have de, which I'm also curious what's this about, because sometimes when you connect sentences in Japanese using de, you can also use de, but de is also generally giving reason. Tabetai, tabetari, tarisuru, koto ga aru, tabetu koto ga aru. So yeah, this will be also interesting for me to catch up. And we have, what's this? Byoki, expressing your feelings when you're sick. Sick. Nandes, so itaindes, for example, is like, it really hurts me. Like when you have the endes form, it's more about actually, can I write here? I guess I can. Let me just make a new note. New note. Or is this going to still capture the old note? Yeah, it will. God damn it, Leroy. God damn it. Anyway, I'm just going to write something. So, for example, when you have this in Japanese, 1 second. So this is like you're adding your sincerest expression or feelings towards whatever you're saying. We also have sugiru. So sugiru is when you're doing too much something, like taberu, tabesugiru, tabetesugiru. Tabesugiru bitraudve. It should have been like that. This is when you're doing something in excess. You have hoga ides. So this expression is when you recommend something. You should. This one, node, is like how do you call this in English? Causative sentence. Like something is the first part is causing the second part of the sentence. And we have nakereba ikemasen in nakiaimasen, which is the casual form. Tabe nakiaimasen would be, for example, if you cannot not eat this. Okay, I know that this is really awkward to say in English, but you cannot continue without eating this. I'm talking about this form. 1 second. And the last one is desho. Oh, this one is difficult to explain. It's like saying right in English, but there's a lot of nuance into this, and even it's like asking for agreement with the not the opponent, but with the other person. It's just that yeah, there's a lot of nuance to it, and I'm hoping that they're going to explain each case and how it works. So yeah, this is more or less, this textbook has 12 sentences, so by the looks of it, there are a few things, I would say 5 to 10 things, which I would be interested in actually recalling back. However, this is definitely not the advanced stuff, and if we continue this and we need to go into the advanced stuff, it will be yeah, obviously the next part of this textbook series. Something that I found out is actually that comparing to this textbook, what we are actually going to learn in the games is much more difficult. I'm not even kidding. That's for several reasons. First, the kanji are very specific. Second, there are definitely grammar structures and sentences which are not going to be here. Third, the game is written and voiced in such a way that it's using a lot of like not casual speech. It's not even casual, you know, it's kind of a slang. They have a lot of slang in there, so that's interesting and obvious for different Japanese audiences. And the third reason is just the way that how do you call this, 1 second, the style of writing, like the style of the letters that are written in the game is actually very difficult to read. For example, they had so, which is just a regular, let's call it, letter in Japanese. Let me show you. They had, for example, this one, right? Look how it's written. They had it written something like just, it looked to me at least like a kanji, and I was not comfortable with that, but hopefully we'll get to learn more about this. And this is it. I'm actually thinking right now if there's anything else that I would like to touch on in this first episode. Again, going back on what we have in the textbook, it's really basic stuff, so maybe between the first 6 lessons I will be going with a rather fast speed, and I will put accent and stress on what will actually be useful for me. Hopefully it's very interesting and helpful for you as well. It will definitely be fun. It will definitely be challenging. I'm not having any expectations, and in terms of this being easy. And if everything goes well, next year when I visit Japan, I'll be in a very good shape with my Japanese. even if I go now, I can still hold like a very proper conversation. Most Japanese would probably still be surprised of my level of conversation skills. However, reading is totally another story, right? It's very difficult to read in Japanese. And yeah, this is it. So the first episode would be about 30 minutes or so, and I can continue speaking so much more about Japan, about my experience for living 5 years in there, and my thoughts on the current situation in Japan, and work life situation there. Even I looked into real estate recently, and it was quite interesting. I mean, it's not that expensive as long as you don't want to be in Tokyo. So actually, it's a very good investment right now you could do. So it's hard to close this first because I want to actually speak for so much more, but for the purpose of this being a focused session, and we'll try to keep these things mostly into learning format, I think we'll have to close this stream now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.